YouTube, what the crap's going on? Pit of Shades is going on, that's what. Yeah, a couple of my Dawi are gonna get damaged by it here. There's a Chaos Shadow Sorcerer fleeing from several of my gyrocopters with brimstone guns. And I have a very unconventional Dawi army here to face off against Chaos, just because I thought it'd be fun. So my main line is a couple of Longbeards with great weapons with the Grumbling Guard. I've got just simply Ungrim Iron Fist. And then I've got 3 Hammerers in the back line. And that's my army. So very, very risky. I think a typical Dwarf double Runesmith, Rune Lord army probably would be best against most Chaos builds. I say most Chaos builds. I think it would work fairly well. A more conventional build like that, because you can see in this build, the damaging part here is the Chaos Warriors with great weapons. And honestly, with all those runes of Wrath and Ruin, these guys would get wrecked, and they wouldn't be able to cause any damage, which means that this army would pretty much fall apart. But I wanted to go for something different. My opponent brought these Gore-Beast Chariots, which are typically not a bad pick against the Dwarves, but I have the woods to help me. So the Gore-Beast Chariots are going to take fire from my gyrocopters, and I'm going to slow them down with my Dragonback Slayers, literally. But they'll plow through the Dragonback Slayers. Like I said, you can see the woods are going to slow down the Gore-Beast Chariots and should help me a little bit. And stemming the rush. I'm going to get overwhelmed, and then my opponent's obviously going to want to drop back in here with this Shadow Sorcerer and put some more Pit of Shades on me, but he's going to have to recharge his magic. So that's his main angle, and then he also wants to keep Sartharel moving all the time. The only problem with Ungrim, and if they could fix it, he would be a real threat. You can see all the damage he's already put on the Everwatcher. He's put a lot of damage, but the Everwatcher can go and never stop moving. So it makes him insanely annoying. So you can see Ungrim would pretty easily 1v1 him, but he's not going to have that. And if we take a look at the Everwatcher just real quick, just to get close on and remind ourselves, so he's got missile resistance and magic resistance. So, yeah, right here he gets a really nice Pit of Shades because I didn't intercept his Sorcerer in time. I did intercept him, but it was too late. And this damage here, this flake, is actually pretty gravely concerning to me. It caused a couple of my Hammerers to rout, which is kind of pathetic, honestly. I expect a little bit better out of Dwarf units there. But it worked, nonetheless. And I lost my Grumbling Guard in the center quicker than I thought I would. These guys usually fight to basically the death, but they didn't make it this time either. I'm going to easily bring down a Sorcerer, and in order to try and stem the tide in the infantry fight, which I already probably should have started doing, but I was focused on the chariots, I'm going to start bombing the Chaos Infantry, and I should be able to cause a huge amount of damage. Now, the only problem for me here is that he's got some aspiring champions in the mix, and those guys are going to make it to where the rest of the Chaos Army is less likely to flee than their normal fleeing selves. I'm not real worried about another Pit of Shades coming in at the moment, just because I don't think he has enough magic, but I am worried about trying to kill the Everwatcher. But he's, like I said, I can't really pin him down with any of the units that I have. And I'm just going to have to bring these units back from routing, which I do momentarily. You can see, again, right now I'm focused on bombing, and I'm getting some pretty good damage done to his infantry blob. So he got a Pit of Shades on me. I've dropped some bombs on him. I wouldn't say that we're necessarily even, because I had less dwarves to begin with. But this Hammer unit here, who didn't get wrecked by anything, is doing pretty good. This Longbeard with great weapons doing okay. But you can see that Sartharel just kind of constantly causes trouble. So it's a bit of a problem. And Hammerers are not immune to psychology either, which makes them slightly weak compared to what just Longbeards would have done in this army, to be honest. Good bunch of Longbeards probably would have made this army much more effective, because there would have been less routing. The Chariots came back. They've caused a little bit of damage. Sartharel's caused a little bit of damage. Over time, though, unfortunately, Ungrim is taking a lot of damage, though he's racked up a considerable number of kills. And you can see that a lot of his infantry is now on the run at the hands of my gyrocopters, though I'm running fairly low on bombs at this point, and I'm working pretty hard to get rid of his Shadow Sorcerer that won't seem to be a good boy and just die. I'm not firing at Sartharel because he has a huge missile resistance. I think it's like 70%, yeah. So shooting at Sartharel is not really your best option, but I am going to have to kill him somehow. Honestly, give him a couple of good charges with my gyrocopters might be the best way, but I'm not doing that at the moment. You can see I'm still just trying to bomb out some of his infantry. We've killed most of his infantry, but it's going to come back from routing. And his Shadow Sorcerer keeps coming back from routing as well, which is kind of annoying. And then out here, I'm getting a fight with Sartharel, which, again, typically would go in Ungrim's favor, but Ungrim just spends so much time on the ground that he really can't get anything done. You can see that Sarthrel just going to charge him again and again. So it's absolutely annoying, to be honest, because Ungrim will just sit there and swing at other units that are in the vicinity, and Sarthrel just constantly knocks him over. So if the player using Sarthrel kind of just does what he needs to here, Ungrim will rarely, if ever, get a hit on him. So you can see at this point, I'm just trying to get rid of some of the remnants of the Chaos Infantry, and I thought, you know, I've got a pretty good chance to wrap this up. I might be able to win. My infantry is pretty beleaguered, though. There's very few of them left. I've only got 81 dwarfs left on the battlefield, including my gyrocopters, which have done a pretty good job. I'm going to try and drive out the Chaos Sorcerer who's come back again, and I'm going to regroup all my forces here in the woods to try and give myself the best chance against charges from large units and other stuff. So we're going to easily drive his Sorcerer back out of the fight. I've got just a little bit of ammo left, but we have a pretty desperate stand coming up here in the woods. He's got some Chaos Warriors with great weapons coming in. I keep thinking his Sorcerer is going to die, but he just doesn't. I decided to go ahead and attack Sarthrel here with my gyrocopters, and actually get some pretty good damage going here for a second. I probably should have just mobbed him with the gyrocopters, but I decide not to. My infantry back here gets mobbed, and most of them are close to dying, and my Axe of Dargo is not ready yet. So I'm going to bring in my gyrocopters. Like I said, at this point I'm kind of wishing I would have just mobbed Sarthrel with the gyrocopters. They seem to be doing a lot of damage. They have pretty decent weapon strength and melee, though they're a bit squishy. So Ungrim is unbreakable, but he's up against some pretty tough odds here. I do bring in my gyrocopters, doing what I can, but the aspiring champions and the presence of Sarthrel are going to make it really hard for me to actually break the chaos units here, especially now that the battle kind of sits in their favor. Whereas I'm pretty sure if I would have mobbed Sarthrel, I may have stood a better chance. In the midst of it, Ungrim is down to 200 hit points. He has managed 72 kills, which is impressive. My gyrocopters, though, are going to suffer to terror here being caused by Sarthrel, I guess. I don't think any of the other units... Nah, Forsaken, do they cause terror, maybe? I'm trying to figure that out. Aspiring champions. I don't know if Forsaken caused terror or not. They don't. So I'm not sure what did it. It had to have been Sarthrel, because he has it. In any case, Ungrim falls, and unfortunately, I'm going to fall just short of a victory here in this battle, too. So I had a pretty newbie army. It was just for fun. It didn't work out for me in this case. If my opponent would have brought more armored infantry, he would have been in trouble. But fortunately for him, he had a lot of marauders, and he had the aspiring champions and the Forsaken, which all kind of soaked up some of the damage. And then he got that one really nice Pit of Shades, which was unfortunate for me. That was a good one. I got some good bombs on him in the end too, but he had more men. And again, at the end there, when I watched that back and see what happened when I kind of hit Sarthrel there, I kind of think if I would have swamped him with the gyrocopters, I might have been able to kill him. And it's just a matter of whether or not Ungrim would have survived long enough. But with Sarthrel dead, the rest of his army very well could have started to fall apart. I don't know for sure, though. It was a fun match in the end. I appreciated a fun one from Willie Wildweed there. So, fun Everwatcher build that he brought against me. I thought it was a pretty cool build overall. He had some speed with the Forsaken. He had some armor piercing with the Chaos Warriors. Shadow Sorcerer was a cool pick, and he had the Pit of Shades there to try and maximize on. So in the end, again, you can see I got a decent amount of damage and kills with the gyrocopters against his infantry. Unfortunately for me, units like this Grumbling Guard, it just didn't get much done. This Hammer did pretty good, even picked up a Chevron. This Longbeard with great weapon picked up a Chevron. Or actually, I put a Chevron, I think, on the Longbeards to start with, so this one picked up one. But yeah, in the end, even Ungrim, like I said, fairly impressive performance, just wasn't enough. And he did a lot of damage to the Everwatcher over time. He gets knocked over a lot, too. So the gyrocopters probably would have helped to pin him in place. I am glad that I had the Slayers. They didn't get a ton of kills, but they definitely helped slow down the chariot and prevented it from doing even more. And the woods prevented that from doing even more, too. If this would have been on open ground, that chariot alone would have been a very big problem for me. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me this time, but you know what? Not every battle does, and it's good to have fun, and I had a good time with that one. Hope you all did as well. Appreciate MSI sponsoring the channel. They're fantastic, and really am thankful for their help. Appreciate you, my awesome viewer, for being here. If you'd like to subscribe, click the logo in the bottom right-hand corner. It'll keep you up to date with all the latest videos. HeirofCarthage, signing out for now. I will see you all soon.